Hey, what's up? Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, what is up? Oh, it's 13 like going on. Yeah, that's a nice backpack. I really like. Uh-huh. It's not bad. Where you go and you say that is land, and you see, and that is land. You don't see, you believe is more like what it is. And once you see, you you would get that maybe you're some kind of other thing, and then the little purple basically. But it's not just about seeing that you notice. And you would truly get that. You would get the whole thing I was saying, and anything else. But a real person, sees and believes and is himself. And that it is him that he is. Now, when you thought you don't have to do stuff to see, no, you have to see. Just the trick is know. If you know, if you don't know, if you don't know, from all my previous chats and this and that, you know is how you know. You don't believe you don't know. Or, you wouldn't know. It's treated as if you were stupid. And now you know. At least now maybe you took the steps and you know. And you thought about it and you said, no, I know. I used to, and then I got treated like that. The this is that, or this or that. To me, well, they were flirting maybe with some side talking, side chat to me. Cap on my son. because it is true. The truth. Undeniable. The real thing. And once there's the stability that you know you are you and I am me. The truth, though, is what you're neglecting to see. You have to believe. I'm Christian. My truck unlocks, and that way, before I get my M16 crafted, and I get to level 5, I'm at level 4. I'm very close to level 5. Just a couple runs of this, and then we're gonna head over to crafting. Uh, well, 4 runs. Yeah, 4 runs of this. 5 runs of this, and we'll go, or 6 runs. Uh, yeah, we're gonna switch it up. It's gonna be fun. Okay, I see. And that's only 3 runs of petrol. Yeah. So we're gonna do this, then we're gonna go and do petrol. Roll. And you believe it, you know, you see it. You aren't Catholic, Lord. I'm assuming. If you're Christian. Or you just have one to enough to know that you're Catholic. Then, if you're Christian. And then there's supposedly you went to You didn't go to church. You went to you went to either just that's something a little different. That means you went either church. It means something else. No, it means in Baptist. Oh, that's something else. And it's church. And with them, the third is you haven't been Christian, then yet Catholic, then they would explain the gist. Let me turn the text. Oh, and a small one when you go to church, it's not as different as just knowing the it's probably different, but the ministries usually enroll you into some kind of different, some kind of knowing you're Christian or the whole time you'd be thinking you are Christian and you wouldn't have been enrolled in the ministry to as a Christian as eventually when there's Christian activities. Yeah, I thought at least everybody was partaking in the activities and the thing, like when you get baptized, like then you kind of get it's serious, and then you kind of get that it has a gist to it. I mean, there's the whole thing about it. I've read all the books. I've wrote books. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't be getting what you're saying that you you can be you can be Christian and Catholic as you are knowing then that Jesus and that will just at least that it will sound like. But I've noticed people tend to stray off somewhere, and it's about the recent talks I've had. But just just my advice is you stick with Christianity then, and it has a gist to it. We don't like thinking you're not in control, and some kind of thing came and steered you off course, you know. And as my volume is maybe very high right now. Okay, no, it's not. Just the point being, there's a ministries, and they have all of the data and the personal information of the individual, usually in a database, and you're more about governments. You see, I didn't know all that it was legitimate paperwork. At least that you would have known or not done, and it was. Yeah, it's not always what you see, what you experience, but at least there's all of the things, yeah. I mean, I thought as a person you would be a very strong Christian. That at least each of you were. Because I was checking some of the records of the individuals. Well, for the most part, you get it. And I was in disbelief that they hadn't even went to church. In that sense, but they hadn't even known that they are are due for an appointment or something. Is more like what it is. And I just couldn't believe it. Well, then I actually talked to the individuals, and they said there's on the time they wanted to, and they thought they were, and it was more like they wouldn't believe you if you said they weren't. Yeah, some people were actually outraged on the things I said. Um, it was in disbelief that they were over previous talks. But, for the most part, there's a different kind of sense that is meant sometimes. There is knowing that you see, but if you know the truth, the truth is you all are capable of knowing, loving, seeing normal people. It's just when you start getting this way, that way, that you think isn't harmful to them. Now it's more like you think you are now, but it's more like the individual is neglecting. Like some kind of dog or some shit, that it's not gonna be a normal person nowadays. And once you find out the truth being the truth being you you honestly see, you know, you believe. But recently there was the activities and the this and the that, and I'm guessing it was the part they didn't tell you. The part that you go and you see it, but you don't believe it because it's not in your way. It's not something you knew. It's not something you know. You know it now, but it's just a simple fact that they said this is this or that, and there was an instance that you had food, you didn't want food. You wanted your life back. There was money, you didn't want money. You wanted an answer to your problems and to solve it. And when there was food, you were neglecting then to eat food as like as whoever it was, but it's a majority, and I was talking about a certain something. Now when there's people and they believe it, it's when they knew it, and then it's when they remove that from themselves, thinking then you know, then you believe, then you don't hear these things in church, and they remove them some kind of way or another, and they said, no, I am me, and I am this, and you are that, and I'm not you. then the person neglecting the fact to accept that it is itself, and saying no, it is that, and in the sense that it is someone else. And I caught on to this earlier on, and many talks in church and this about it. But then, when the person was neglecting to accept they were themselves, they were not knowing, then they were carrying along, then a series of neglect, and they said, hey, I am not you, I am me, I see what I see, dude, chill out. They said, but I see what I see, and you see what you see. And you just keep neglecting to see the point of fact that I am me, and you are you. You keep saying you are me. And once we were there, and he didn't leave you in the end, he heard and this and that, but thinking like normally, and that he's sitting there just listening. You got all of these things. You got all of these ideals, and he turned it into something else. That it wasn't the Christian way. The Catholic, the Christianity. And now he's back in the right sense, and he's saying no. This is not what, and I am not that. And then simply at wherever he was in that sense that he was not Christian. If you've heard that, you get what I'm saying. But you are not knowing that the time that he saw, and what he saw, he was someone else. Then he explained it a different way. He kept saying no, that, and he ruined them. There's no other way to put it. But not ruined them, but said you are that, you see, and I am me. And not because of the neglect, but he neglected to eat food. He neglected to live his life. Then he was not knowing. Then he was not seeing. He wanted. Yes, he wanted. He didn't know. There was a way. He had to have it. Once he knew the way, he didn't want the personal things. He wanted just that way. He wanted to add it to his way. And then he was believing, not seeing the real things. Very quickly, he realized this is the reality, that this is his way, his path, his way of life, his way. And he wanted that way. Whatever it was, he wanted that way. And he said, no, this isn't like girls and laugh. He needed it. He needed it. There was no other way to put it. But he didn't know anything, and he needed it. It's a very different thing I tell those people, but he needed the way. He needed the path. He needed some kind of thing to snap him out of it, that he knows, and he is it. He needed that. Well, once you know it, you need it. And he didn't need it. He took. He wanted to steal it. He had no sense of human anatomy, characteristics, or any. He was just that, this or that he has seen or known, that he didn't know it, but then it like stayed in his head, and he had the audacity to make this and that decision, and the reality that he was not knowing, but he was seeing. He thought he sees, but no, that was also the this and that stayed as like a mirage of that instance in his head. And then they seek serious help for this. They said, no, I wanted it to yes be the mirage, the this and that, and they were not willing. They were not willing to take the advice, the lectures, the this, the that. They wanted to pretend that they knew, but they had never seen it. They said, what is this trick? Everybody live some kind of life, that they know it, they believe it, they see really, and I'm sitting here, and where am I? And you told this individual, you are maybe, you know, at some kind of hospital, a different way, that you were not coherent until they were being funny, and then said this will be a normal seeing person. If you follow these steps, and these steps exactly, and I'll tell you where they messed up, where they didn't do the right thing, and in the right sense, or something of that nature, that they messed up and fell for the tricks. What's up, buddy? So the first step, is go the distance. Go the distance no matter what anyone tells you. You have to accomplish your task. What they were doing is they were saying, no, this is not real, about the real things. Then it was not the distance, though they were taking in any which so way fashion. They needed to know, and they were not knowing. They did not seek out lectures or any advice whatsoever, and they were believing the path of the Satan and the this and the that, saying the things like they were not real and that nothing was real. You need it to understand this is the guidelines for being a person. Now, when you know, you have to explore and go in every which way direction with that thing. You'll pick it up, eventually you'll just do it, and then you'll know it, and the whole thing will be running, powered, right, in every which way, and then you which way, and add it to, and then you which way, like amen at first you say, and it's okay, we get those times that you think this is a little girly, but you say, I'll come out of this, and when I come out of this, I will be victorious. Maybe in 2 days, in 3 days, then the 7,000 hour one that has been doing just that, and that is it, has been doing just that, has been the most successful person when he smoked a cigarette, whether it was blue or not, or ring around the cigarette or not? Yes, it was. And in his life, in his real life, and in any which way, was the most successful person known to date. The 7 hour one that you thought I said, the 7,000 hour one, and in his real life, once he did this in his head, it was way beyond limitless pill. Yes, but way beyond anything he had ever experienced. That he found out the truth, that that is all there in real time, and he just had to hear it. You just had to hear that advice. And if you would ask me, hey, how many people have done this for me to get it? And in fact, every individual, it was like they were not there. It was like they were never there. And they were like 50 years old, and they were never fucking there. At most, it was this or that moving around as some common wanting to be normal, wanting to be it, wanting something, wanting something that means something else, which is maybe why that they thought wanting is just a simple nothing thing. And it's more like just at most the things didn't stick with them. They thought they learned it in school, but never in any which way did anything with the material of then when they found out, and then they knew nothing of that. So you're saying what is it? It's something I don't know. Yeah, it's more like he looks at the individual and disgusts and says, "Hey, I know what you're doing, and I know what you did last summer or something." As that when it comes into play, or at any which point of time, tries to get the signal out to the individual that he sees this as this, and he needs it, he wants it. Now he's secure. At least if he took these steps and has started, he is the most successful individual known to date things. At first, then he remembers there's others. Then he remembers there's others, and I've had many talks, and in church or something, but then he truly gets it by now. And by now he is at the rate and at the pace, like he took a bajillion limitless posts. Did you know if he took those steps, and the way of any that he did, and I started, so yes, you thought this in a different sense, that in my real life that you're saying, and that I was believing and knowing, it's changed a little bit that you thought that my real life. So as of current date, we're at the point that around is like right side up, upside down. But it is normal that we are, and it's not right side up, upside down, and as normal it's not. And it's not for us, but it's not. But around is right side up, upside down. and then you truly get the beauty, the gist, the power of this information. And if you were wondering, yes, I think I left a trick for you to at least have something. If you were watching, maybe you're just listening, but there was about um, 24 golden bricks that I kind of left, maybe, or you're wondering what's the gist with that. That kind of was another maybe $50,000, and at least you have that. Because when I was at the metal trader, there's um there's the instance where you only sell it 3 times. If you've been following my streams, there's the instance that you're getting that if you are now, and I tell you that, you would at least have something to try it with. Maybe you are a well-informed person, you thought, but when you don't do this, and you don't continue and it doesn't stick, that's when you're in trouble. Yes, I'm planning on wearing my polo shirt once I go to crafting. I noticed this, yes, but there is, for instance, I yeah, there is, for instance, when there is a mountain. In that sense, you would go on that. You wouldn't just think to climb it. You would go on that too. That is the next step. But at that point, you would be well ready and capable as like a 7,000 hour one to handle, yes, then the mountain. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is the correct. And my shoes. Yes, this is the correct outfit. It'll make sense. Trust me. Once I get to level 7 crafting, I get to get my large build. Like I have the blueprint for that. Yes, then you notice some normal talking really is the difference. Well, yes, Eureka, my friends. You've got the whole formula now. The I am me, the whoever is whoever. Now, you would think, how long have I done this? At the pace that you are at, hour 10,000, you will notice you went at such a pace that all of time wasn't that much time that passed. That you went through these sequences, and that how many hours didn't change, passed so quickly that eventually you would see. Now that is at hour 10,000. So once you see at that hour, that's when you are truly seeing. Now, when you think, what is the end, what is the cap, what is the end game, and that is at hour 15,000, that you are so good that you will never not be something that is not it, that you would think, but in a different sense, you would reach yes to the end game done. If not, then you did something wrong, and you kept doing that same way, that this, that, and then you didn't improve. But don't be demotivated by this. You'd simply be at like hour 50, and you you would remember, you would play back maybe the formula, and you would get it. At least you got it, and you will do this. You did this. You had done this so far, but this is very. You grow and you learn from it. Is the only advice and any else there is. Just a moment. I'm going to, in the sense of something else, isn't what I'm doing. Just a cigarette. and a drink is what I usually say in a different way, but I wanted you to know it's just a cigarette and a drink. I'm gonna go and drink and smoke, but I'll be right back to do the and I'll be doing the petrol run next. Then you would get why that individual said, let's suppose that you could every night have a dream that within 75 years of time, that 75 years of time, that he was actually saying that within 75 years of time, but as an individual, you would get that if you were at that point that he was saying 75 years of time passing. And within that 75 years of time, that is the formula to that. And you would come out of that and you would say, wow, that's pretty great, man. 75 years of time. Like, that's for me, yo. Maybe in disgust. But that is just the simple. That is to kick you off. Maybe you hear this in the background. Oh, my mic is on. I knew them before. Maybe you heard this. I know many other things. Yeah, this is the level 5. Oh, that was the XP for the mine for the crafting. Now I did this math 2, 4, 6, 8. going at it, and he never looked away among homosexual men. He never anyways. Not sure. It's not that you're not sure, that you never observed. You never done homosexual. That is the only answer to that. The only trick is that you're never a girl. You never do any homosexual running. You never do any homosexual running. That is the only tricks. That is the only rules, the only any. You might be saying if you're a girl, you're not sure. What the thing is you you are not sure. You are never a girl. You're only a guy. there is a deficit of the amount of money or something for the crafting, or what is it? You don't get the resources to craft the things, or you buy the things from the auction house. Can't you store it in your locker? The material after you buy a locker, and then keep on going on runs, because the simple through runs is how much? You know? That is about 300,000 you spend on one run on the auction house of material, right? Spend about 800,000 on one run. $240,000 of material. 240,000, which I can you spend like 800,000 on one run. Oh, I spent 240,000. Huh? I spent like 240,000 of material that I buy. That's one run. And I make about, now I make about 350,000 on one run. And about 2 runs of material. about 2 runs of material. That I buy of material. Crap. You have to get to level 5. Once at level 5, then I can craft my M16. Oh. And the one run of that, I would make about 250,000. It pans out to almost the same amount. But you do the run, then you buy that stuff. Or to buy, you're saying to buy a locker? You're saying to buy a locker, and to store it in my locker, and then use that material? You don't spend like 800,000 on one run? No, I spend about 250,000. I spend about 250,000 buying material of about one run, and I make about 250,000 on like if I would do that. Oh, there's this way of doing it too. No, but I can use the ones at the gold processing. Yeah, use those. No. I'm almost to level. Can you hear me now? I'm almost to level 5 on those. So you see, I go on these runs and it's like I use this stuff. Yeah, but now I make about 350,000 on this run that I'm doing, rather than going on one of those runs. And making 250,000 worth or having. Well, once they explain to you you are you, and that he never had kids, and you get that, you will think you're saying you need some help. That you are my son, and that you're hungry or thirsty, and that you need something from your dad. Yes, my son. Are you almost to level 5? Yes, my son. Are you almost to level 5, my son? Yes. I gave you some time there to get settled, to get started on that. But there's something else quite the contrary now, and the only else is you go at it, and every which way, yeah, but you go at it in the sense that it's anything else and any actually that it is. That's the only difference, that it'll be an any. 300,000. Whiskey Adam, yeah, I'm the real Whiskey.